Hey guys, welcome back to Monday's show. I had a whole thing I was going to do about everything that happened over the weekend, but alas, I got caught up in a lot of family related and work related stuff this morning. So instead of doing that, I am going to pretty much continue the conversation from Saturday, but you don't have to have watched Saturday's show to follow this. So this here is Rev, and Rev is talking about. So in the past, people have attacked gaming for causing violence, for causing this, for that. We talked a bit about on Saturday about the Sarkeesian esque movements of the 2010s, and that led up all the way to the 2000s. Well, this is the most recent attack on gaming, and they are attacking it from the inside. And attacking things on the inside is going to be something I cover when it comes to this and also politics very soon. I'm working on something. Whether or not it comes to fruition, we'll see. But let's continue with what Mr. Rev here has to say.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rip here. So I'm sure everyone watching this video already knows one of the biggest problems plaguing the video game industry currently, and that is themes
Sweet
of
baby.
colonialism in your favorite cozy games.
Of course.
Yes, this is what happens when members of the gaming industry have too much time on their hands, and they start creating problems that can only be described as first world problems. One of the examples of something we're talking about today, a panel about decolonizing cozy games. Now, this was shared by Master of the TDS. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description, but he shared an absolute doozy with us today, and this all comes from a recent expo called Game Devs of Color Expo, which just wrapped up 2 days ago, and during this, there was a lot of different panels talking about different things. Here's one other example, a panel about avoiding the yikes, a guide to working with sensitivity consultants. So it's very odd to see someone make their entire career about fighting a problem they describe as a yikes. Like, it sounds kind of goofy when you label what you think is so important as a yikes. But you can see
It's like someone having the
this
ick.
is like the average consultancy group right here. You can see all the pronouns, everything from they to even they. How fun. And, well, you can
Gotta
see
love the
this is the
Z's and
description
Zers.
here.
He,
You have
they,
a
Z.
great idea, but you're worried you might be getting something wrong or exaggerating in stereotypes. Maybe you want to create a diverse world, but need advice on how to do it. Are your characters from different backgrounds and have different experiences than people working on your project? Where have you heard that one before? In this panel, our group of sensitivity and cultural consulting experts addresses when, how, and who to engage for consulting to level up your game and the
Look, and as far as the whole thing goes, diversity is a wonderful thing. And yes, it should happen, but it should happen naturally. When you try to force it, it's like, did you ever have your parents try to take you over to someone's house and they tried to like make you make friends? Or have you ever been in a relationship and the person you're in a relationship tries to force you to be in a friendship with their friend's significant other? It's kind of like that, to where sure y'all can be made friends eventually and everything could come, work out great, but for the most part, just because you and your friend are friends doesn't mean that both of your significant others have to be friends. You could be civil. It's not the best thing. I'm just going off the top of my head here, but you can't force these things, especially when it comes to the video game sphere, entertainment sphere, all entertainment. It's art. And if you force artists to do things, if you try to meet quotas or do anything like this, you're destroying the art. I'm not saying that all these games and such shouldn't exist, but they should exist within a certain sphere. If they're like, especially games that are particularly leaning towards the whole, well, we'll just say not the whole LGBT, but trans. It should not be a big budget game. It should be a budget of a game, just like a lot of the old LGBT movies of the past. Every now and then you'd have your rent, but for the most part, you stayed around like Party Monster type of thing, where it was a low budget deal. Low budgets for lower percentages of the population. And if it's someone like John Singleton, when it comes to most of your urban movies, like crap, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But John Singleton was a visionary director. Same thing with Ryan Coogler. But these are not the rule; these are the exception. They are fantastic directors, and they're really good at telling a story that everyone would want to hear. If you have that, then you can justify throwing your budget towards that. But if you don't have that, then you can't really justify it. And these days, you're getting a lot of people who are just throwing budgets at anyone just because. And you see a lot of repercussions for that, like horrible scripts, no character development. Just look at what's this right here, The Acolyte. The Acolyte's a perfect example, but we'll let Rev continue with what they're talking about here.
Benefits they can bring. They answer common questions and describe common pitfalls when hiring or not hiring for sensitivity consulting. Sweet Baby Inc. wasn't just a company, it is an idea that is still spread throughout a lot of the industry. If you think they are gone, absolutely not. We're even going to see some Sweet Baby Inc. employees in this video today. Now, of course, the main talk I wanted to go over, which was shared earlier, is the decolonizing cozy games. And this is a Sweet Baby Inc. employee right here in charge of it, saying what's so cozy about doing chores when you're at the center of the universe. We'll delve into cozy games and how they uphold values of colonialism in their mechanics and narrative. More than just being about vibes, cozy games project an idea of what is safe and rewarding for players and often promote values of capitalism by rewarding individualism and consumption. Yeah, unfortunately, it appears that when you're world building or building a civilization, these things might pop up. There might be some financial winners and losers, and it's very ironic to see people complain about themes of capitalism in a video game, in a genre of video games, that only exist because of capitalism. That is the funniest thing. And same with the consultancy groups. They only exist because of capitalism. This is a very, very interesting approach here, but they're going to give us plenty of examples of what makes a game showing off these colonial aspects, if you will. And some of them are absolutely crazy. In fact, they would make games like Stardew Valley problematic. Stardew Valley, one of the pillars of cozy games, right? I'm pretty sure it was made...
Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that.
Made by one person, and 10 years after release, it's still sitting at a casual 63,000 in-game players on a random Sunday afternoon.
That's insane.
But
That's
this
a
game is
lot of players.
problematic. Yeah, it's actually colonizer themed. You know why?
And this is just on Steam. This is how much people love Stardew Valley. This is what do you say, a 10-year-old game, something like that. And just on a random Sunday, there's 63,000 players playing that. That's crazy.
Because it has weather patterns. Yes, if your game, your cozy game, has weather patterns, you might be promoting colonialism. Did you know that? Did you know that colonizers control the weather? Yeah, I'm not joking, but Master of the TDS would share some of the related information from this talk or presentation, however you want to describe it, and they give examples of colonialism in cozy games. First up, so many white people. Yeah, boo. We don't want to see white people in these games, right?
Look, and while I agree that yes, there should be, especially in games to where the race of the main character doesn't really play into the story, there should be an option to where you can customize it to look more like you. Sure. But at the same time, most Western developed games especially, are made by white people. Just because there's so damn many of us in Europe and America. And a lot of these nerds, let's face it, nerds, are making games based off what they know. I don't see what the issue is. But again, just like RPGs, you should be able to, especially if it has no effect on the plot. Like The Legend of Zelda, keep Link the way he is, as a he, and as, I guess, a white elf or whatever, an elven boy, a child of the forest. Keep Mario Italian with the mustache. Of course. But if it has no bearing on the plot or the lore of the character itself, just make there be just a color shift. Simple.
Rights? That would be totally racist to not exclude a group of people from existing in a video game genre. But yeah, we're not off to a very good start, but it's probably not too surprising to see this, especially from a Sweet Baby Inc. employee. Here's another one saying, the outside individual who saves the day. I'm not really sure which way they're kind of going with this. I'm assuming maybe they're saying that, like, the outside person comes in and saves the simple civilization or helps build it or something, and that's somehow offensive. But the next one is very ironic.
I don't know if the outsider thing is a trope of the West, but I've seen it in some Eastern media too, like anime and whatnot. But who cares? That's not colonialism. That's just, a wandering person just happens into town when thing is happening, or at the peak of thing happening, and through a lot of he begrudgingly saves the day, or happily saves the day, whatever. It's not always a white dude. Who cares? That's not colonialism. Now, if a huge force came through and had to save the day, or take over or whatever, then sure, colonialism, but come on.
Ironic for cozy games. It's colonialism if the land is there for the taking. I'm pretty sure, you could play Animal Crossing, and this would be an issue for them, because you'd be, doing player housing or building things or taking from the land.
Those dang animals.
How else would you have any of these games function at all? What are you going to do, just sit on the grass and not move? Oh, wait, that might be a problem. You're claiming up space in the grass. Oh, the land's there for the taking now. But you can see how this could apply to pretty much every single cozy-type game out there. But the next one says, corn and wheats make number go up. Not even Stretch Armstrong could make a reach like that. But the next one lists the nuclear family. So having a traditional family structure in the game is a sign of colonialism. Now, we saw this with, I believe it was Soul Ash 2, where the developer was getting canceled because he had a lineage system in the game. And you would have to have heterosexual couples to produce offspring. And people consider that homophobic. And he basically said, if you don't like that, this game's not for you, but this is just how I want this game to function because it just makes sense for the purpose of what I'm doing in this game, and it would mess up a lot of the systems in the game, would make things more complicated. So appeasing to one person who probably wasn't going to buy the game anyways, who's making these concerns, not the best choice for...
And see, that's the thing. Most of the people who make these arguments aren't going to play these games anyway. They're just not. Like Anita Sarkeesian. Anita Sarkeesian had to get into gaming to start complaining about games. This is not your fan base. You're not going to expand your fan base by alienating the fan base.
For the developer, and they got somewhat canceled for it. But we're seeing this pop up again. And here's another a bulleted list here saying monochronic structures, 4 seasons, and the Gregorian calendar. 4 seasons. So having weather cycles.
These people must be flat earthers.
Is now problematic. So if you're excited about the changing of the seasons in your cozy game, you're enjoying that shift from the fall to the winter, you are engaging in colonialism. You didn't even know it until now, so you're welcome. Here's another one saying
how is that colonialism?
Ancient civilizations. I don't know, again, which way they're going with this. Like, is it trying to say that the portrayal of these ancient civilizations is offensive, or the values of the ancient civilizations are offensive, and people just want to be able to engage with that in the game? I don't know. But the next one says spirituality. It's silly. Now, I don't think they're talking about religion. I think they're talking about, like, New Age spirituality or something like that. So, I don't know about that one. But then the last one, straight up racism. You know, of course, because there's straight up racism in a lot of cozy games. You know, there might be some, like,
I've never seen any
way off brand.
I don't play a lot of them, but
indie dev, one man created cozy game that has something like that going on.
I mean, maybe.
But we're not talking about anything that has a significant
there's a game called Sex with Hitler, so I guess sure there could be.
I just think we're doing some reaching here, but let's move on to some lists of games that are successful, and I find one of them to be very interesting. So games to check out if you want something that is a cozy game that is not adhering to these acts of colonialism, these themes of colonialism in the game. One of them listed is Tales of the Shire, which of course has a connection to Sweet Baby. How convenient. This would be listed off as a good example of a cozy game. And Tales of the Shire is, of course, supposed to be a cozy game based on the Lord of the Rings IP. It's one that was announced quite some time ago, and it was met with a lot of criticism because a lot of people are looking at
I don't know much about that
the Weta Workshop, one of the devs behind it, and they had a lot of DEI-related stuff on their website. I actually looked back, and it seems like they got rid of a lot of it, so maybe they're kind of getting so...
And again, the diversity is not a bad thing. It's just not. I know there's a lot of people who are... There's the heavy DEI supporters, and then there's the extreme anti-DEI supporters, like my cousin's stupid-ass ex-husband. But some people will see anyone who doesn't look like them and be like, oh, this game's DEI. Just like, no. And then some people will see anything that's just white people or just this race or that race and be like, oh, this needs to be diverse. And I'm just like, not if it's about like a particular, like we can't modernize things based off ancient societies. Not if you want things to be accurate or feel natural. I wouldn't expect you to put a white person in anything about Africa. I wouldn't expect you to put a white person or a black person in anything about Asia, especially if it's more ancient. But lately it seems like we're looking at the past through a modern lens. And while it's important to learn, that we have evolved, we can't judge too harshly things that people did at a certain time frame, especially hundreds or even thousands of years ago, assuming that we do the same thing that we do in the modern age. Because we just wouldn't. And even if we did, we'd be murdered immediately. Because nowadays, no one knows when to pick their moments. Like Lord of the Rings, this clearly looks like it was modeled off of Rings of Power. Rings of Power, I talk about this all the time, and people who see me on a daily basis are probably tired of hearing about it. You can't have a village with like 20 people and 6 races. And most of them, I think one was like 10 or 12 people, and they had 6 races. And they've all just lived here their whole lives. That's not how that works. There's and not a single mixed person among them. They're all like whatever. They're all 100% white, 100% black, 100% this, 100% that. That's not how these things work. There's a dwarf, there's an elf, there's a human, and all the everything in between, every color scheme imaginable. In a village with 12 people. And even here, look, yes, people did wander. Yes, people were nomadic then, and in some of these fantasy worlds. But you have to make the world, if it's based off of something, in accordance with the lore of that world. And changing the lore of that world is to suit your own personal desires is just wrong. You're no different than, was it William H. Macy from that movie Thank You for Smoking, where he goes back and removes cigarettes from classic movies, replaces them with pencils and lollipops and such. I've never understood why people do things like this.
Self-aware, where the first thing they were saying to you is like, "Hey, our greatest strength is our diversity," and then people are like, "Well, how is that going to make a good game with hobbits?" You know what I mean? And people also started looking at some of the preview clips, and it's,
And these are mostly made by white women.
Now, of course, this is a game that wasn't supposed to like reinvent the wheel. It's supposed to be like a cozy game where you're just going around as a hobbit, having fun, making homes, doing stuff like that. But it kind of dropped the ball. And right now, as you can see, only like 2 months since its release, down to 400 players in game. Just not a real recipe for success. I do.
And look, if I don't know how much. Let's see how much this game is. If it's a $60 game, I say ridiculous. If it's like a $10, $20 game, who cares? Who cares? Even if it is a Lord of the Rings license game, let's. Just a second. Okay. What's it called? Tales of the Shire. Okay. Let's try this too. How much did Tales of the Shire cost to make? A budget around $5 million. Okay, so all right, at a budget of around $5 million, how much would a $35 game? How many units would it have to sell to recoup the cost of production? Okay. So with that, taking out the accounts, like the how much of the cost you actually get, like for every sale, how much the maker of the game actually gets from that, which according to this would be around $17.50 to $21 per unit. You would have to sell a whopping 285,714 units. So we'll just round it up to the next. You'd have to sell about 300,000 units. Let's see. How many units has Tales of the Shire made? Sold? Sorry. How many units have Tales of the Shire sold? Wow, Tales of the Okay, so yeah. Pre-release. Okay, so it's sold. There's no exact numbers available. At the time of asking this question, how many units has been sold for Tales of the Shire? 1 million units as of mid-September. Okay, so it's already recouped its cost, and now it's dipping into the actual profit as a whole. So at 1 million, it's probably made back its whole budget and then its whole budget again. So that's good. $35 isn't a bad cost for a game like this, I suppose. Like, there's a lot of detail, and as long as people keep playing it, it really doesn't matter if people keep playing it as long as they buy it initially, unless it's an online game. It looks like it's 50-50. So the cost of running the servers and all that. So like it looks like there's an offline mode and an online mode maybe. Doesn't look like the others. Okay, but either way, if it is an online game, you not only have to worry about recouping your cost of development, you have to worry about keeping your servers online. And if no one's playing your game, this game they probably won't care that much, depending on how much they spend on actually keeping their servers up. That there's only 458 people playing out of, what do we say, that's probably 500,000 units sold. Or no, a million units sold, and only this many people are playing it. It means a lot of people only bought it because it was either a cheap game, it had Lord of the Rings in it, and they played it too long to return it. But let's continue.
I feel like they fumbled the ball with this one a little bit. And you can see it actually got off to a pretty impressive start with about 6,000 players. I think that's still underwhelming for an IP like this, but it dropped off really quickly, and it's pretty much flatlined. I believe on the 15th they had their latest major update, and it didn't do anything for them. But yeah, this is quite the wild ride. I wonder if we're going to get more of these screenshots from these presentations. They got to be pretty good, right? This is apparently only a small snippet, and if other people got them out there, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, that is Rev. And again, this isn't what I normally do. It might be something that I do, giggity. But I don't know why that would be giggity. Anyway, I'm really amped up on caffeine and rage this morning. So I didn't want to get too into stuff that happened over the weekend, mostly because I didn't have time, but also I'm kind of amped up this morning already. But anyway, I hope that was at least enjoyable. I wanted to get at least part of a show in, because a lot of my time was taken up by constant phone calls and text messages. But just, guys, don't take life too seriously, or else, because you'll never get out alive. A lot of stuff's been happening all over the world. I'm starting to see patterns, and it's kind of alarming. I don't know how much of it is actuality and how much of it is just because I'm too stuck in the news. But things have got me nervous. And we need to take care of each other. Mostly ourselves. You have to first take care of yourself, make sure you're in a good position. And if you're in a good enough position, then we can start to help other people. But there have been 2 shootings over this weekend. Everyone's more focused on which side's to blame for it than the fact that it happened. And there are more important conversations to be had. How we get it to stop being one. And I don't want to hear, look, the left will say gun control. The right will say mental illness. And just know that just because you agree with one side of this argument doesn't make you that side of every argument. Just because you think gun control is the answer doesn't make you left-wing. Just because you think mental illness is something we should focus on, and also, having security in places where people are vulnerable doesn't necessarily make you a conservative. But hating the people who are on the other side of an argument is ridiculous, and saying that the other side has no answers. Just because the other side has an answer that you don't like or that you disagree with doesn't mean they have no answers and that they don't care about the victims. Now, if you have people online like Laura Loomer, then I can kind of see you making that argument. And then there's, oh God, there was someone who I called the Laura Loomer of the left recently. The Krasensteins. They're not the ones I was thinking of, but they're pretty bad too. Look, it's good to be informed. It's good to know what's going on in the world. But verify who you're getting your information from, because a lot of these people are making Americans retarded. If you listen to the Krasensteins, if you listen to Fuentes, if you listen to Candace Owens, God help you. Don't get your information from comedians. Don't get your information from rich people who are trying to have the right perspective on things, so they're not the bad ones. These are not... I mean, as much as I love Nux, he's a shit poster. Stats from ADL. Look, I understand the both sides debate looks really silly right now for a lot of people. It's true, and just because it's leaning a little heavy to one side right now, especially when it comes to, and you have to understand, the political persuasion of a person and an actual event being political are two different things. 100%. You have to find out what the motive is. Is this person mentally ill? Should they have had a gun to begin with? And again, we've had a lot of orgies of evidence lately. I'm not going to get into it too much because I don't want to get overly twisted before I get ready. But just make sure that you vet everything, that you question everything, and that you fact-checked everything. And if you don't have the drive or anything to even do that, then you really don't have any reason to be upset. Just listening to somebody because they're the ones that are on the program that you watch. I don't care what side it is, left, right. If you take everything at face value, because yes, the media does lie a lot with the truth. They only say what makes the other side look bad and them look good. And that's true of both sides. Then you really can't get mad. But they want you to be mad. They want us all to hate each other. And they want us all to be distracted with all these events going on. For us to see what's really going on. I think I see what's really going on, but I'm not going to get into that because going to take a lot of research, and I don't know if I have the stomach, but I don't know. We'll see. If I can get to the point where I can do this for a living, then I might dive headfirst into that if I still can. But anyway,